What is going on, guys? So dealing with snow is really hard. I am currently unable to play. That got me thinking today, what do I make a video on? So I come up with the idea to actually go ahead and make a Great League and an Ultra League team using some non-conventional style Pokemon. Just different things. Like I had a few metrics in my mind that I wanted to make sure that I hit, and I kind of went after that. That's kind of where today's video idea comes from. But first things first, let's go ahead and check on some news that happened today. The first thing that comes out is from Trails, and basically he's found a smorgasbord of new, updated, different files. Basically, they're just, you know, the 2D files for certain Pokemon, like Unknowns, which Shiny Unknown would be really cool. What we're gonna look at are, of course, the few things that he did post on here, basically being Burmy, Blossom, Cherum, and then we have the freaking stupidest. I hated encountering these freaking things in Platinum. They were just annoying and stupid. Now, the more exciting one is Shaymin here. So you do have Landform and Skyform. Shaymin's very interesting. I will enjoy obtaining Shaymin. I'm interested to see how they do these two forms, whether they'll do them kind of like Giratina, which will probably end up being the way that it happens, but I think it's very cool. It's very interesting how Shaymin works. Plus, it's just a really cool Pokemon. Next on the list is the Mystery Box. So the official Pokemon Go app Twitter did let us know that the Mystery Box effect has grown stronger. Based on a couple of reports from Reddit, it looks like you're getting about 15 Meltan per box this go around, so that's nice. 15 times 6 would be 80. 15 times 6 would be 90 candies, and then if you transferred all of those, that would be another 15, so that'd be 105. So you could effectively get your Melmetal in 4 weeks, which is not bad at all. The fact that they've boosted it means they are actually hearing people's complaints about it, which is nice. It's always nice when they listen, even though they don't do it too much. Okay, so now let's get on to the main attraction, the main event of our freaking video today. So I have two teams. I have a Great League team and an Ultra League team. While we're going through the Great League team, I will kind of explain my metrics and why I ended up choosing these Pokemon. Our Great League team consists of Medicham, Marowak, the Alolan form, and Roserade. Alright, so Medicham you can max out with a 100% IV and it only get to 1431. Of course, the level cap for Great League is 1500, so we have to keep it below that. Of course, Medicham's CP is not the highest. You can choose Pokemon that have 1500 CP exactly, but I definitely wanted to use Medicham because, one, he's psychic and he's fighting, and the fact that he counters his own types. Fighting, of course, is weak to psychic, but he's also psychic, so he doesn't take that double damage. Plus, his move pool is decent. He does have an ice move in there, which I thought was an interesting move. So I said, well, let's see what he's good at. With the 3 typings that he has, considering he'll have 3 moves, we went with Psychic for his fast move, Dynamic Punch for his fighting move, and Ice Punch for his ice move. These two, of course, are the 2 charge moves and your fast move here. Effective 2. This column right here tells us, out of these types, what these 3 moves are actually going to do as far as damage. So these 3 moves are going to be effective to Grass, Normal, Rock, Dark, Flying, Ground, Poison, Steel, Dragon, Fighting, and Ice. They will do 1 point, whatever the formula works out to be in Pokemon Go. They will actually do our super effective damage. What are we weak to is what's in this column, which we are weak to Fairy, Flying, and Ghost. And then what do we resist? We actually resist those same ones, Fairy, Flying, and Ghost. So that's what I wanted out of this Medicham package, is even though he's weak to these 3 typings, he resists these 3 typings, which effectively makes him not weak to any of them. Perfect. Let's move on to Marowak. So Marowak at level 28.5 with perfect IVs has 1494. Of course, you can rearrange those IVs and your level until you get to a 1500 if you wanted to. I just personally just tried to get as close to perfect IVs as I could. I know based on my recent testing, I know that's not the correct way to go about it, but just for the purpose of the video, I did it this way. Marowak is going to be Ghost, Ground, and Fire on our moves. Of course, his normal actual typing is Ghost and Fire. So, what are we effective against? Bug, Electric, Fire, Grass, Rock, Poison, Steel, Ghost, Ice, and Psychic. So we are effective to a lot of different things. As you can see, that was kind of my goal with this team, is to make a lot of effective move sets work. What are we actually weak to with Marowak? We're actually weak to Rock, Dark, Ground, Ghost, and Water. What are we resisting? We actually resist Bug 4 times, and you can kind of see, I feel like it's kind of redundant to go through all of these, but you can kind of see like what we resist here. 4 times resistance to Bug, 4 times resistance to normal, so that's kind of the way that this whole thing is set up. Last on the Great League team is actually going to be Roserade. At level 17.5, she has 1485 CP. Like I said, of course, you can rearrange the IVs and you can add a few levels so that you can actually get to that 1500 mark, but for simplicity's sake, I went with this. So her moves are actually going to be Grass, Poison, and Fairy. Of course, she is Poison and Grass to begin with. So that was my other thing, is what do I do? How can I maximize my stab potential here? Because of course, stab gives 1.2 times damage bonus just for being a fighting type and using fighting type moves, right? So that's how that works. That's what I was trying to go for. So Grass, of course, with Razor Leaf, Poison with Sludge Bomb, those are going to get stab. Fairy move. This is the whole reason that I chose Roserade, is because of her fairy move. I got through Medicham and Marowak and I was looking and I was like, I really need something that's going to counter steel types. Roserade ended up being what I needed. Here are all of our stats for Roserade, and this last column here is effectiveness. And this is how I calculated effectiveness. Basically, I took each stat from each column and I added all 3 Pokemon together. If you're doing super effective damage to your opponent, that's going to add to your effectiveness. If you're weak to your opponent, that's obviously going to subtract from your effectiveness. And if you resist, I'm actually going to add to the effectiveness as well, because resisting actually does help in a lot of cases. So basically, effectiveness plus resistance minus weakness for all 3 Pokemon ends up giving you your effectiveness number. So as you can see here, what I really wanted to go for was this right here, Grass. So I have an enormous effectiveness against any grass type team when I use these 3 Pokemon. I have a massive effectiveness against fighting type Pokemon whenever I use this team, which is interesting because the way that I'm looking, I'm honestly thinking that PvP, a lot of people are going to go in with the intention of Chansey and Blissey being our top freaking team because their TDO is so high. And to be honest, it may end up being that way. But if it is, you know, it is what it is. It'll be kind of like a repeat of the gym system. But because people are going to be expecting Chanseys and Blisseys and Snorlaxes, I decided to go with something that would be super effective against their team. So they're gonna, the way I'm playing this out is they're gonna counterpick what team they think I'm gonna pick. I'm counterpicking that team that they already are trying to counterpick. Confused? Also, in effectiveness, this is where it points out the holes in your team. So I have a slight problem when it comes to flying type Pokemon. I don't necessarily have I don't go negative with flying types, but I still don't have a really good choice to use them. I don't have, I mean, Medicham is the only thing that's super effective against them, and that's only because Ice Punch. So if Medicham goes down, I have no answer to flying types. See kind of how it points out holes there? Here, Ghost. So Marowak is the only thing that's good against Ghost. The problem is that it's also weak to Ghost, which it doesn't resist. So therefore, I'm kind of stuck with Ghost. So Ghost is kind of a hole. And if people are actually going to be using Gengars, then it might be a problem. Last but not least is Psychic. I don't really have a good answer to Psychic. Marowak is the only super effective damage that I'm doing, but Roserade is the only thing that's actually weak to it, so it's not that big of a hole, but still I don't really have a lot of answers for it. And then everything that's in yellow is just kind of the middle ground. These two are obviously the best matchups for me. These three are obviously the worst, and then everything else is kind of in the middle. I feel like if PvP works correctly, it'll come down to more of skill rather than effectiveness for those, which I'm okay with. Let's actually look at our Ultra League team. So here I tried to go really weird, except for Gengar. Gengar's kind of like a, wow, dude, you picked Gengar? Sorry. Armaldo. Of course, you guys know that I love bug-type Pokemon, and I tried so hard to make Scizor instead of Armaldo. The fact that Armaldo had a rock type move really opened up a lot more effectivenesses that I was short. I could switch them out and just have a lower level Scizor because his max CP is like 31 or something like that, 3104 I think. This is what I came up with because this is kind of off the wall. It's kind of weird. But I really like this team. So Armaldo comes in with 2496 at level 31.5 if you have 15, 15, 14 attack, defense, stamina. We're going to have bug, poison, and rock type moves. Of course, he gets stabbed from the bug and the rock. So the fact that he had a poison type move was just icing on the cake for me. Gengar also did have poison, so I could have switched it up there, but the fact that Gengar had fighting, it really opens up that steel super effectiveness that I needed, because of course fighting will do super effective for that. So Gengar comes in at a flat 2500 if you have 15, 14, 15 at level 28.5. I went with Sucker Punch, Shadow Ball, and Focus Blast. Now I know a lot of people are going to be like, why would you go with Sucker Punch? Because that dark type attack is something that I really lacked in this move pool, and I feel like whether it's Lick or whether it's Hex, Shadow Ball just really does so much damage as it is. I felt like it would be more applicable to keep Shadow Ball than it would be to have Lick or Hex. Of course, I didn't run the numbers on this. This is just me thinking it out. Walrein here, dude, Walrein is such a weird but cool Pokemon. Like, alright, I literally have it on my paper. You guys can see, I have it written on my paper. I tried Lapras and I tried Cloyster, alright? But Lapras and Cloyster both suffer from the fact that they don't have any move pool outside of the two typings that they already are. So they're both water and ice, and they only learn water and ice type moves, which was a problem because I needed that third move to add some more effectiveness to my Pokemon. I just randomly checked Walrein, and lo and behold, he learns a ground type move, which a ground type move is just perfect for me because I needed something to be super effective against the electric typing. Now, the fact that I'm also weak to that electric typing does not make me the greatest when it comes to Walrein, but I also tried, I really tried to do a electric and a steel type Pokemon. The only Pokemon that falls into that typing is Magnezone, which one, isn't released yet, and two, suffers from the same problem that Lapras and Cloyster do, is he only learns electric or steel type moves. If he had anything other than those two moves, he would be the one that I would go for, hands down. But this is what I got. The reason that's interesting is because Armaldo can actually cover water. Instead of poison, he could actually cover water, which is weird when I think about it, but it makes things a little easier whenever you go to pick. So it's really nice. Like, Armaldo has 4 possible typings that he can do damage to super effectively. Gengar has 4 typings that he can do damage to super effectively. So when you find a Pokemon that has 4 different types that they can do damage to, those are the ones that you really want to pay attention to when it comes to building a team. So let's go through this. Armaldo, of course, going to have a lot of effectiveness. He's actually going to be 4 times effective towards grass-type Pokemon. That's because that bug type and that rock type are going to do good damage. He's going to be weak to rock, weak to steel, and water, which is meh. That's kind of why I almost went with a water-type moveset for him. I literally had, on my sheet, I literally had it, water was written right there. I ended up going with Walrein altogether, so the fact that he's a water type, I figured it would be easier there. With those 3 weaknesses for Armaldo, he does end up resisting normal and poison, which is good, but meh, he's pretty good. Like, I really love the effectiveness right here. I love how much he is actually going to do super effective damage. But his weaknesses, he doesn't resist, and he only has 2 resistances, so meh. Gengar, of course, Gengar is a champ. We have seen him so very much in the meta already. I think it's going to translate over very well to PvP for him. His effectiveness is actually really good. He's 4 times effective to Ghost because he has that Dark type move and Shadow Ball, which is nice. And of course, that applies over to Psychic as well. Looking at his resistances, he does have quite a few 4 times resistances, but none of those are actually his weakness. So he ends up being weak to 4 different things, which is kind of bad. I mean, Dark is kind of prevalent in the meta. I mean, people have easy access to Dark type attackers, so that's the thing that's kind of weird. So he could be bad when it comes to that. Ghost type attackers and of course Psychic type attackers, those are fairly common. It's not like they're really hard to get. That's the problem with Gengar. And of course, Walrein here, he has 3 4 times effectivenesses, which I love. He is effective very much, and I love it. He is only weak to 4 things, but they're kind of big ones. So he's weak to electric, which he is effective to, which means he is the only answer that I have to electric typing, but I'm also kind of kamikazeing that scenario because I'm also weak to it. He is effective towards grass because of his ice type move, but he's also weak to that. He is double effective towards rock type, but he's also weak to that because of his ice typing. And then his ice typing, of course, is freaking weak to freaking fighting. So what all that means is fire types I have covered, normal types I have covered, poison types covered, and ice types covered. I feel like with those 4 matchups, I would be set perfectly. My problems with this team lie in the electric typing, the dark typing, and the water typing. I struggle with those. So those are actually going to be the 2 teams that I'm working on right now. I do have a very strong feeling that PvP is going to release this week. With the last video that I did, and I won't talk too much about it, the very spoilery type video, they updated a lot in this newest APK, and with that coming out to the masses, once they force that update and they flip that switch, it's going to be a done deal. I feel like the app will get forced because of what Trail said today about them fixing some 2D models. In this newest APK, there's an issue where Deoxys's model just doesn't load in the Pokedex. With them updating that and they fixed it, I feel like 1.3.1.2 is probably going to be the bug fix one, and then they'll force that out to everybody, and then iOS will follow, and then we'll be live by the end of the week. It's just my take on it. Let me know. I really want to know how much you guys have been thinking about your teams and what kind of teams you are planning on using. Of course, this is everything that I have so far. I'm probably going to go through and keep updating my spreadsheet here. It's really fun. It's actually really fun to sit here and theorize on these freaking typings. It's so cool. But Let me know what you guys have been brewing up down in the comments below. If you like to hit the like button, make sure you do that. And until tomorrow, guys, I will see you then. Oh, and also let me know what you guys think of the new audio setup, because it's a little different. It's back when I used to live stream a lot, but I hope it sounds a lot better.